Hey, what's going on, fam? Yes, I'm back so soon with my second explosive build ever made, and it's a banger. Look, I'm not even gonna hold you up when I tell you this, but the new shrapnel trap is going to be a problem for a lot of people in PvP. And for PvE, it's crazy strong. Volatile is one of those skills that requires skill to use effectively because it's defense based. Strategic planning and correct placement are key to using this. But if done correctly and played right, will turn you into a certifiable GOAT. This won't be my only build with a shrapnel trap. There's definitely going to be more to come, but for now, check this one out. Oh my god. Yo, I am so hype about this build. First of all, let me say, this is my only my second explosive build. My first one was called Burst Trauma, and I was able to wipe teams with that. Literally wipe teams. Now things have changed a little bit. I gotta revisit it to see how the burster works. But this build is insane. I mean, that shrapnel trap is top 3 in skills. I don't know why they took so long to release something like that, because before that I wasn't even really using the trap. I haven't even unlocked the heal trap because I heard that it's pretty trash, and I'm sure the devs are gonna work on it. But this shrapnel trap is so good and it's so strong, and I think this is gonna be like one of those skills that was like how the sticky bomb was, where people didn't really know how to use it. And now look at the sticky bomb. I use it for pretty much almost every one of my builds. All 3 of them are viable for me. They're like one of my favorite skills. But this shrapnel trap is up there, I have to say. So I'm using Demolitionist, and yes, if I were using Technician Specialization, then I'd be at a tier 6. But I wanted to use Demolitionist because I haven't used it yet in an explosive build, and I wanted to see how it would do. And I also wanted to have the option to use the artillery turret as well, which is OP. The primary I'm using is the G36 Enhanced with InSync. I'm sure y'all seen so many builds with InSync. This pretty much doubles your damage for your skills and your weapon. As long as you're doing damage with your weapon and you pull out a skill, you don't even actually have to use that skill. Secondary I'm going with is the Ravenous. You do not have to use this by any means. A lot of people don't even have this weapon, but I like the explosive aesthetics that this weapon has. It's hitting really hard for a skill build. I mean, 200k. When it's fired from the right shoulder, it adds offensive primers, 5 to be exact. And when you switch to your left shoulder, those primers detonate. But while you're on your left shoulder, the weapon embeds defensive primers that once you switch to your right shoulder, then they give you bonus armor. And so each one of these primers deal 100% weapon damage. Each one of the defensive primers grants 4% bonus armor and 10% amplified damage to armor plates for 5 seconds. So those big heavies, this is like how the old school Merciless was when you were destroying those dogs. Not as strong, but almost. So this is very useful in raids and against Black Tusk and in PvE in general. In PvP, it's a little bit harder to use, but if you can get it to work, it's super effective. I mean, I even made a build with this, destroying people in PvP, so it works if you build towards it. The great thing about the Ravenous, if you didn't know, even though those primers give you weapon damage, when they're detonated, those kills count as explosive kills, so it gives you ammo for your specialization grenade launcher. First piece in the build, I'm using the 𝐒𝐞𝐢, mainly for the skill haste. I would do a 2-piece, but I didn't have enough room on my build for the skill damage. So the skill haste is good enough for me, because if I roll skill haste on here, that's 12%, giving me 22%, then another 12 from my mod, which is giving me 34% skill haste just on this piece alone. Pretty nuts. The chest piece is special, y'all, and it's the reason why I have a 5-tier skill build. And as you can see, it says 6 tier right here. The only reason that is because I'm holding the card 45. Now if you want to swap to your card 45 and then use your skill just to utilize that tier 6, you can. I do that sometimes, but I'm getting good damage with InSync, so I don't really need to do that. But if you want to, get the bonus damage with InSync and then switch to your card and then use the skill, that's cool. But that's, that's doing a lot. I don't really need to do that because this build does so much damage already. I just found out recently that explosive damage is multiplicative, and you just get explosive damage from wearing these pieces, because the 2-piece Gruppo gives you 15% explosive damage. And there are very few pieces of gear that give you explosive damage. So when you get it, you want to hold on to it tight. You know what I'm saying? I would prefer to have skill haste instead of status effects here, but the most important attribute you want to have is skill damage. And I have a 12% skill haste mod, so I'm not really complaining. The talent is explosive delivery. And so when you throw any skill, like a turret or secret mine or something that lands on the ground, only 1.5 seconds after it lands, it creates a 5-meter explosion. And this damage scales with your skill tier. So if you have a 5 to 6 tier skill build, then you're going to be in the 90 to 100 percentile of this damage. And that's 90 to 100% of the damage of the concussion grenade, which is why you need to have your explosive damage to the max. Grupo and China Light. Now you want to make sure you have a concussion grenade equipped so that you can utilize that damage with explosive delivery. This does almost 2 million damage, man. So it's going to do 90 to 100% of that damage. The holster is simple. All you need is one piece of this. It's a China Light, and it comes with 15% explosive damage. Skill haste and skill damage, the works. All right, y'all. This is it. Possibly the best backpack, the best exotic backpack ever released from Division 1, Division 2, period. Now, I think they might be trolling us with this backpack because, I mean, we've been talking about rainbow gear for a while, right? And now they bring us an exotic backpack called the Memento that gives you all three. So it's pretty much a rainbow piece. Anyway, I'm glad they did it because it's the jack of all trades here. If you didn't know how this works, I'm gonna simplify it for you, okay? Whenever you kill an enemy, they drop a trophy, and whatever the majority of the tiers you're wearing, it gives you a bonus based upon that. So if you're wearing mostly reds, it's gonna give you 5% per tier. So if you're wearing an all red build, it's gonna give you 30% bonus weapon damage with that one trophy for 10 seconds. And then with bonus armor, if you're wearing 3 pieces of blues, it's gonna give you 60% bonus armor for 10 seconds. And in the case of my build, I'm wearing a 5 to 6 skill tier build, which means I'm gonna get 5% skill efficiency for each tier, 30%. If you don't know what skill efficiency is, this is something new. And my clanmate John Wick Boomstick said it perfectly. He said this is the skill equivalent to weapon handling. Weapon handling is for your weapons, and it gives you stability, accuracy, reload speed, you know, anything that helps your weapon handling. So skill efficiency, it gives you skill haste, skill damage. It just makes your skills more efficient. And so as you're getting kills, you're just increasing your damage from your skills, from in sync, your explosive damage, all of that. This backpack is just, it's beautiful. And it kind of reminds me of how the Ninja Bike backpack was from Division 1. Because once that came out, it made hybrids meta. And this is what this is going to do. This is what this is going to do. That's not all it does, because you know every enemy drops a trophy. It gives you 1% of weapon damage, 1% of skill efficiency, 0.1% armor regeneration, and this lasts for 5 minutes, and the maximum is 30 stacks. So instead of 30% skill efficiency, you're gonna eventually get 60. You know what? You're gonna see a lot of builds that I make with this exotic backpack. So stay tuned and be ready, because I'm gonna be going crazy with this. The gloves, Grupo Sombra, my second piece, in order to get that 15% explosive damage. Crit damage doesn't really matter, and it would be nice to have, again, skill haste, but you know, beggars can't be choosers, right? Now it doesn't really matter if you have a 2-piece Hannah or a 1-piece Wyvern. They both give you the same thing, skill damage. So I decided to go with the 1-piece Wyvern because first of all, this knee pads look super cool, and I already had some knee pads with the stats that I needed. First skill, I'm using the explosive sticky bomb. I prefer the fire sticky bomb just because it's an animal in PvP and PvE. It's just really strong, especially if you stack status effects. Go check out my build, Burn and Bleed, man. I made like 3-4 weeks ago, man. That build is nuts, and it's utilizing the burn sticky bomb. But I'm definitely not sleeping on the explosive sticky bomb, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's at a tier 5 or a tier 6, depending on what I want to do with the card 45. But let me let you in on a little secret, okay? This new backfire SMG is prompting people to stack hazard protection. They're not just stacking bleed resistance, they're stacking hazard protection, and rightly so. That weapon will make you bleed and cause you to not run. So DPS players and people who use that weapon are stacking hazard protection, which means that the fire sticky bomb is not going to be as viable, or even the chem launcher. What you want to do is make explosive builds. That is going to be the counter going forward to those DPS builds, because most people aren't stacking explosive resistance. But guess what? They're gonna start, because my second skill is the brand new Shrapnel trap, and each one of these hit harder than the sticky bomb. So each trap hits for almost 1.2 million damage in PvP. In PvE, almost 2.5 million. And I have 14 traps. You know how people say that the cooldown is too long for the traps, but I think they did something different to this. When I throw this trap down, and if the traps are just sitting there on the wall or on the floor, there's a cooldown that you see on your skill. And when that hits 0 and you destroy your trap, you get it right back. Now that might have to do with the fact that I have really high skill haste, or it's something that they changed with the trap. Just like how with the hive, now you can pick it up. Before that wasn't even a thing. And that was one of the best additions they could have made to the hive, right? So this could be one of the best additions they made to the Shrapnel trap, or the traps in general. Maybe that's what skill efficiency has to do with this. This thing is amazing, man. Pretty much you can set traps for people. You can protect your flanks. You can ambush people. I mean, you throw this up in the air. First of all, you get one explosion with explosive delivery, and then the traps just spread out around the area, on the walls, on the floors. Sometimes you may not even be able to see them. So this, in conjunction with the sticky bomb, allows me to stagger an individual into my traps. You need to have something to interrupt them while they're running through the minefield. And this is pretty much a defense build, right? You want to set up your area so that you can create an area of denial, so people can't just run up on you and do whatever they want. Granted, they can jam your skills, and I think the devs were talking about something to where a tier 1 jammer won't be able to really affect tier 6 and 5 skills as much. But if that's the case, and you have DPS players running around here with jammer pulses, it's not really going to be as effective against higher tier skills, which is great because it's going to force people to adapt and make builds to counter these type of skills. So yeah, this is my second explosive build. It is amazing, and I really want you to try it, and I really want you to let me know what you think about it. I mean, you're going to see some really crazy highlights with this in the future. So if you enjoy builds from DPS all the way to skill, then please drop a like, and don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel if you're new. I'll see you in my next video. Until then, be right out.